for a 30-year-old edge rusher that's making a bunch of money that you're going to have to also pay or lose after the year. That just doesn't sound Howie Roseman to me at all.
I don't think Cincinnati's trading him now because
Me
they think
neither.
Joe Flacco's saving the season, and maybe he does because it's a crap. It's turned. That was supposed to be a good division. We all thought it was going to be a good division.
I do want to have a look today at some of the possible trade candidates. I know we've talked about a couple of them, but like really, where does it make the most sense? I think there are some good names out there. You know, a lot of people talk about Trey Hendrickson, John, and I don't know what it is about that. I'm not. By the way, here's the thing that turns me off on it too. It also just doesn't seem like a Howie move. You're going to trade a second round pick, a premium asset, for a 30-year-old edge rusher that's making a bunch of money that you're going to have to also pay or lose after the year. That just doesn't sound Howie Roseman to me at all.
I don't think Cincinnati's trading him now because
Me
they think
neither.
Joe Flacco's saving the season, and maybe he does because it's a crap. It's turned. That was supposed to be a good division. We all thought it was going to be a good division, Baltimore stinks which is shocking.
Yeah, it's interesting right now, man. It is weak.
A lot of bad teams. Cleveland stinks, obviously. Now Cincinnati, we all thought would be certainly playoff level with Joe Burrow, but they stink now. And Pittsburgh is running, but they lost, and all of a sudden Cincinnati wins, so they think they're back in it with Joe Flacco. So I don't think they're trading him. Number one. Number two, to your point, makes too much money. I don't know where you got the second round. I don't think he would fetch a second round pick, but that's just
Well,
me.
I thought I saw somewhere that the comp pick for losing him would be a third.
Well, most likely, but your comp picks, you're projecting future contracts. So, first of all, you have to be playing the comp pick game, which Cincinnati probably would in that instance. So, yes, I mean, the most you're going to get is a third round pick. You can't go higher than that. So, in theory, if he gets the contract commensurate with his ability and they play it the right way and don't sign more free agents than they lose, eligible free agents, they'd get a comp pick that way. The Eagles in this instance, if they acquired them. But do they want to play the comp pick game next year? There's a lot of things that factor into it. But most notably, I don't even think he's not a fit. I don't think he fits with Vic. He makes too much money, and I don't think Cincinnati's going to trade him. So, a lot of hurdles there.
Yeah. How realistic are the other names that we're hearing right now all over the news? Jaelan Phillips, Bradley Chubb. How realistic, in your opinion, are some of those guys? Or should we be looking more like like an Arnold Ebiketie or something like that? Like, where are you on what you think the Eagles might be, at least in the game for?
Well, I think Miami makes a lot of sense because
Right.
one, they stink.
Yeah.
They have a coach who's probably on his way out, maybe a GM who's on his way out. And they have to do something to create some excitement, I would say. And there's talk that everybody's on the block, even Minka Fitzpatrick, somebody like that. So but I think a lot of that is just you look at teams who are falling apart and say, well, they might as well get some draft picks for the next coach and GM. And Miami fits that category. Then you go down another layer, and Vic has history being down in Miami for that 1 year. And then you go down. So he knows Phillips, he knows Chubb. And I think, people forget that Miami defense was pretty good until those guys got hurt.
Right.
And they had to pick up edge rushers off the street for the playoffs. So he has history. And then if you want to peel back another layer, Chubb, he had a history with dating back to Denver. So he likes him a lot. We know that. So if they're willing to trade, which is again the biggest hurdle, those guys would make a lot of sense. Chubb more than even Phillips, but both of them. Um, and then the other stuff is pure speculation. Like we don't Jermaine Johnson, New York, Ebiketie, who I brought up a lot dating back to the offseason. He looked like a guy because they drafted a bunch of edge rushers. So
I think James Pierce is actually having a decent start to his career so far.
yeah, so it seems to be a luxury. But I again, I don't even know if they're willing to trade him. The Miami stuff looks like it matches up the best. And Chubb would be the one that I think Vic would like, but that's a good player, not having a great year. I don't know if anybody's having a great year.
You said Chubb would be the one he'd like over Phillips. Is that what you said? I missed it. Sorry.
I think because he has a long history. That's just speculation. You
Right.
know, he was in Denver when
He's
when they
coming
had
off
him.
injury, right, John? He had an injury last
Yeah,
year.
they're both injury prone. That's another problem. They both had a lot of injuries. So that factors into it as well. Good pass rusher. Not great, but good. And I mean, if they pulled off a deal for either of those guys, they're probably the best pass rusher in the building than the moment they step into it.
Yeah, just like Zadarius Smith kind of was when he got here. Maybe not the best, but he was up there. John, what do you think the compensation would be for a guy like Bradley Chubb?
Not that much. I have to look at his contract, but it's pretty significant.
Like, is it a third-round pick? Is that too rich? Is it
That's too rich.
Yeah,
I would start with 4. But and they have plenty of picks. But now at his age and his number, you don't have to give up a third round pick. But there's so many hurdles that go to it. Number one, though, is I think a lot of people inflate what has to go back because they don't look at the contract. And he's got a pretty significant contract, so that lowers what you need to send back. Again, there's guarantee Miami's moving on from Mike McDaniel. I think there's a pretty good chance they're moving on from Chris Greer as well. So, does a new regime want a 30, 31-year? He's going to be 30 next year. Do they want a 30-year-old edge rusher who's had some injury history? Probably not. So, in theory, that matches up. That checks off as many boxes as you could possibly check off. As far as would Miami be willing to move on? That's as close as you get to all the boxes that you could possibly check.
Yeah, so we'll see about if they make a move there or if one of those guys come to fruition. John, what about corner? A lot of people are talking about a corner trade. I never thought they were going to do a corner trade in season, kind of based on our conversation. They made their move with Bennett, whether it worked or not. Do you think they would look for another corner trade at this point in the year?
I don't think so. I heard Howie say, we consider that position of strength, a position of strength, which I think shocked people. And it has to do with Cooper and Quignon, obviously. And he's got a point when you think about it logically. How many teams in the NFL have 2 corners like that? Not many. So I think they think they could piecemeal it together. A lot of it probably, they're probably a little bit disappointed that that they haven't gotten a full evaluation of Jacorian Bennett, and they're probably not going to, even if he gets on the field this week. There's not enough time before November 4th. So you have to trust your evaluation there. We've seen Keeley, we've seen Adoree. They're not playing great, but I think you could piecemeal it together. And then simply because I think the names you've seen, they're just not good players. So
Yeah, I mean,
I think
Rick Woolen keeps like that name is everywhere. You see that all over the place.
my God, I mean, turn on a Seattle game. There's a reason for that.
You've never been a Rick Woolen.
Well, I mean, he got he got benched for Josh Jobe. Now, Witherspoon, he's played a lot of snaps.
Wait, real quick. Everybody remembers Josh Jobe, right? Okay, good. He was in Philadelphia before he was there.
Witherspoon has been banged up. I don't know. Is he back? I don't know if he's back or not, but he's a great player. Devin Witherspoon is a young corner. He's a great player.
Very good player.
Reek was actually pretty good early in his career, and then people kind of figured him out. He doesn't have good ball skills. He's very big. He's very tall. He's very lengthy. But he just has bad ball skills, and he's not fast enough. That size comes at a premium to pay, and you could take advantage of some things on the outside. I'm trying to look where he is real quick. 101 of 112 corners. Oof. That's where he's at. So you be careful what you wish for. Yeah, that's all I would say about that player.
Yeah, there is some other corners that are speculated to be maybe moved. You know how it is at this time. There's a lot of smoke and mirrors, but there's also, some people who put out names that could get moved. I saw Cam Taylor-Britt, who's a corner for the Bengals, who maybe could potentially get moved. Roger McCreary, cornerback from the Titans. I saw Michael Carter, the second from the Jets. I saw Alante Taylor, corner from the Saints. That one I think is a little bit more out there, but we'll see. We'll see if the Eagles make a move at any of those positions there, John. Going to be interesting to see how they address it. John, do you think this is fair to say? Howie's trade deadline moves could give an indication on what he thinks of the 2025 Eagles, or do you not view it like that?
Well, no, because number one, I always say it takes two to tango. So he might be trying really hard to do something that you'll never even know about, or you won't know about it for months down the line. So the assumption that it's one of the biggest fallacies, the assumption that whatever move he makes is what the goal was. What I would be very surprised if he doesn't make a move because he just likes making moves. But the assumption that he's not working on things that don't come to fruition is probably, one of the biggest misconceptions I think out there.
He could have been trying to trade for one of these guys before he signed BG.
Yeah.
Probably was, to be honest.
All the machinations behind the scenes. They were talking to Brandon early, then they went to Za'Darius, then they go back to Brandon. And I'm sorry, I got a little throat problem going on. But it's there's a lot of stuff that doesn't come to fruition. And that to me is the strength of Howie Roseman, and always is the strength of Howie Roseman is contingencies. Like so many times you don't get what you want and you have to pivot, and he does that better than anybody, whether it's the draft or the trade market or things like that. So the assumption that he's got like 10 balls in the air and maybe one lands, and it might be not the one he really wants, but he's just trying to improve the football team.
Yep, good stuff there, Johnny Mac. Appreciate everybody for being here. Don't forget to hit that like button on the show this morning. Plenty of stuff to talk about as we get ready now for Week 8 matchup, Eagles versus Giants. We will go to some Super Chats today. We have an opened up show, so anybody who wants to check in with Super Chats will go to the top if you got questions for J-Mac or any of those things. Let's go to Caesar right now, who joins in. Caesar says, just as an opinion, might be absolutely wrong, aren't we all, Caesar, sometimes? but he's not 27 BG anymore, and that's fine. He's 2025 BG, the mentor, the closer, the culture keeper. Every contender, yes, still have faith, needs one. We're definitely still a contender, Caesar. You don't need to maintain faith in that. I think we definitely are still a contender.
Yeah, I mean, well, obviously he's not the 2017 Brandon. I mean, that's just the way of the world. But yeah, he's a rotational player now. That back then he was, it was him and Fletch. That was it. That's what the defense was built on. For many years, I would tell people, back when we had conference calls with the opposing coaches, and it was always, and it was an offensive guy. All they talked about was 91 and 55, 91 and 55. For many years, that's what people game plan for against the Philadelphia Eagles defense. Obviously, he's coming back as a rotational player. He was a rotational player last year. That's what happens when you're 36 and 37. The fact that he's still out there and playing on a level of 37 is amazing. 36 last year. But yeah, obviously he's not what he was at the height of his career, which was one of the best two-way defensive ends in football, honestly.